huge week of finals footy to kick off the 2022 finals series. Let's have a talk about it. I'm pretty keen to have a chat about the other games. Let's get going. Hey, Cats fans / AFL fans, possibly, if you might be tuning in to hear my thoughts on some of the other games that are going on over the weekend. What a week of finals footy it was. Probably the best week that I can remember, at least since maybe the mid-90s, when we had a few of those after the siren goals, which Geelong was heavily involved in. I think there might have been an extra time game there as well. I can't remember. I think it was Hawthorn North from memory. But yeah, it hasn't been a final series like this in a very, very long time. So I thought, I've done my Geelong match review video. So I thought maybe I'll just put some thoughts out there about how the other games went. And I was, as I said, really enjoyed the quality of the football. Especially some of them were high scoring, some of them were just low scoring slugfests. But it's all good. All finals footy, you just love it, especially when there's a massive contest. So we'll start with the Thursday night, the Brisbane versus Richmond game up at the Gabba. I was just praying and hoping that Richmond would get knocked out, and thankfully Brisbane did the right thing and put them to bed. But wasn't that an amazing game? I think was there 17 lead changes in that game. Probably one of the better games as a neutral that I've seen in a long time, or at least one of the better finals games. Just goal for goal. Both teams scored over 100 points. Normally, first to 100 wins. I don't know, I think it might have been Richmond that got there first, and Brisbane kicked the last goal of the game. It's just an amazing game. Just heroes on all lines. Devastation for Richmond, thankfully. And then Brisbane lived to fight another day. I think Richmond said farewell to Shane Edwards. I think there probably might be one or two others that they haven't declared yet whether they're going on, but he's played his last game. And Mitch Robinson from Brisbane, assuming he's well enough to go again and he gets picked, he was going to retire at the end of this series, so he plays another game next week against Melbourne in the semi-final, which will be at the MCG, which Brisbane don't normally travel too well or play too well at. So I'm not expecting much from Brisbane. I'm hoping it's competitive at least, and that Melbourne just don't get a bruise-free encounter. Hopefully Brisbane can give it a red-hot crack and somehow even sneak a win. That'd be lovely, because I'd much prefer to play Brisbane than Melbourne, even though I think we've beaten both of them this year, so we should be going into that reasonably confident, although it is at the MCG. But even then, I say that, how many times have we lost at the MCG lately? I think we've won, I don't know what the stat is, it's probably like 9 out of 11 or something like that. We're just not losing at the MCG in recent times, and we're 14 in a row, and eventually we'll lose a game. Hopefully it's not this year, hopefully it's sometime next year. In season 2023, and that's fine. We're happy to lose round one if we can just get this premiership this year. That'll be great. It's not about Geelong though. I know this is normally a Geelong channel. I'm here to sort of talk about some other teams. So look, Richmond, they didn't make the finals last year. This year they got back there again, and probably were hoping to go a bit deeper. Didn't quite happen for them though, they'll load up and go again next year. Whether they can, I mean, it's a bit of an ageing list. I guess so are we, but different list structure, I suppose. It might depend on how they recruit, whether they follow a similar model to Geelong and try and top up again for another crack at it by hanging on to a few of their stars for another year or two, or whether they just go, well, let's just go a youth policy now. I'm not really sure. I don't know their list that well to know which way they're going to go with it. And it may depend on how many players decide to keep playing on, I guess. As they've got a bit of a choice in that too. So, but yeah, their season's done already. There was a lot of talk about them going really deep and causing some issues for some sides in September, and failed at the first hurdle. So bad luck. And Brisbane probably were one of those teams fighting for a top 4 spot at one stage in the season, but really just faded in the second half and just lost some games they probably should have won, but got the job done in the final. Probably would consider themselves lucky. Fagan probably nearly had a heart attack. It wasn't going to be good for him if they lost another final. So thankfully they got that one in the bag, and And I guess it's a free swing against Melbourne in an away final at the G was it Friday night? I think it might be Friday night. Could be wrong about that. But anyway, this weekend in the semis, so it'll be hopefully Brisbane will put up a lot better effort than they did against Melbourne towards the back end of the season. They were just terrible when they last played Melbourne. So hopefully it's a different team this year. It'll be interesting with Petrarca. He got a bit of a leg injury. I think it was a hairline fracture of his fibula. So we'll see how he pulls up. We'll probably know a little bit more. I'm guessing the D's will leave it up to the very last minute, and if they feel like he can play at 80%, they'll play him. But if he's struggling, and who knows how he's going to pull up after the game, the media will be all over it this week. Every story will be about Petrarca and can he get up or not. I guess it'll sell some papers or some hits online. But I think the D's will just wait until the last minute to see whether they're saying he can play through it, but I don't know how effective he's going to be. He might be made of some tough stuff, so I don't know. But they've got a few other injury concerns too, so we'll see what happens with that. And they might just decide to bring in a few fresh players to, you can't be carrying too many injured players in finals. So Petrarca's one you might be able to carry because he's so good, but I don't know if you can carry too much more than that. So they've got some tough decisions to make through the week, but good on them. Now, yeah, well, we're on the Melbourne game, so I'll stay with that one. So the Swannies, weren't they impressive? The Swans got the job done by 22 points. It was actually the biggest margin of the week, crazy enough. I think it was, unless the Freo one ended up being bigger. No, it was the biggest margin, 22 points. So, yeah, that was pretty much... I didn't think Sydney was going to get the job done, but somehow they just kept fighting, and they never gave up, and their tackling pressure just went off the scale it went out of control. And they got over the top of the D's in the end. They out Melbourned Melbourne with their pressure game and their chaos footy. It was beautiful to watch. Buddy couldn't get into it, and he was given a complete bath by Stephen May. But he had some moments too. But overall, he was done. But it wasn't enough really. Sydney just kicked these crazy goals that you wouldn't normally expect them to kick, and Melbourne just couldn't quite just finish it off in some occasions. And apart from Bailey Fritsch was going okay, and there's just a few. And Petrarca getting injured doesn't help. He was playing with that injury for most of the game, so that really didn't help them. Oliver was his normal fantastic self, but yeah, they just couldn't put it together. And fortunately, they could have been straight into prelim, and now they've got to go through the Cats. Got to go through Brisbane first, but then maybe the Cats in the prelim, assuming they get through Brisbane, which we'll see how they go. The Cats are going to be coming off a 2-week rest, and normally that would worry us. Getting back to Geelong again, but normally that would worry Geelong off a 2-week break. But hopefully this time around it's not such a big deal, and if anything, it's a good thing for us to get a few players rested. I know there's still a couple of players with niggling injuries that just got across the line, so hopefully. They got through the game okay, and a couple more weeks just to sort of settle things down a bit more. That'd be good for them. So hopefully that's the case for the Catters. But we'll see how the next couple of weeks plays out with Melbourne and Brisbane to see how it's going for them. I think Brisbane got through okay from memory. I can't remember exactly who might have got injured from that one. So look, the other game. I can talk a little bit about Geelong as well, but I'll talk about the Dockers and the Bulldogs game. First, oh my God, the Bulldogs. I was driving home from the MCG after watching the Cats and, put the radio on and saw that the Dogs had kicked 5 goals 5 in the first quarter and were to Freo's solitary point. I thought, this one's over. And then, stopped to get some food. I turned the radio back on and it's like, oh no, Freo's starting to, they've closed the gap a little bit. Still didn't think they were going to win it, even though the crowd was going bonkers. But sure enough... But over the remaining 3 quarters, they just kept coming back, and then all of a sudden, Dogs just didn't have the answers, and they were just missing some shots they should have kicked. And Freo were just... There was one goal, I can't remember the bloke's name, that kicked it. He was on the boundary. It was just a freak goal. I was like, oh my God, how has he nailed that? I think it was that was a match winner, I think. It was the game that put it beyond doubt anyway. So that was pretty crazy. And look, Freo live to fight another day. They're going to play Collingwood at the MCG. In a semi, I'd be picking Collingwood. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think Collingwood doesn't do that to teams, and so it'll be another. I'd imagine it'll be another close one. Will Fife play? Don't know. I'm not sure whether they need him. I mean, they'd probably like him, but they've done pretty well this year without him. So, if he doesn't play, I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference to Freo's chances. To be fair, maybe 5 years ago you would have said differently, but they've got a new core this year that they're really doing all the work. So I'd like to see a really close game between those two. The winner of that game will play at the SCG against Sydney in a fortnight's time. I don't actually know what the AFL's thinking is on start times and for the prelim finals. Whether Geelong is the top team, do we get a say on what day we want to play on? I'd think the club would prefer to play it on a Saturday, even though it gives us one less day's break, because it gives us more times for fans to get up the highway. If you do it on a Friday night, it's a little harder. But Saturday night gives us that option, and you'd imagine the Sydney team would feel the same. Like Sydney fans prefer to go to the games on Saturday night as well. So, hopefully it falls in our favour, but the AFL may not give us a choice on that, and they may just go with whatever they think is going to get the most votes, most views, or eyeballs on the TV. So we'll wait and see on that one. Someone else might know. If you know how the AFL are going to make their decision on that, leave a little comment down below. That'll be really helpful. I'm keen to know. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but I'm lazy, so just put it in the comments if you can for me. Look, good. I hope Freo goes okay. I mean, I'm hoping that if Geelong doesn't win it, that maybe Freo can get up and win their first premiership. I don't want to say if Geelong's playing Freo in a grand final. Clearly, I don't want that. But I'd be hoping that Freo can get over Collingwood, send them out in straight sets. I mean, that'd be hard for Collingwood, wouldn't it? If they played so well all year round, and to get done in straight sets, that'd be hard. It would be for any team to go out in straight sets. It's not the way you want to go, but it's I think this one's a 50-50 game for Collingwood. I think Melbourne would be fairly confident. They'd be in my 80-20, they're going to win that one. But this one with Collingwood, I don't know. Like, Collingwood played really well against Geelong, but Freo's a different side, and they're going to have to play it differently again. They won't have Taylor Adams. We'll see. We'll see how they go. I mean, what they were doing worked for Geelong for the most part, and Geelong just got over the line in the last minute or two. But it's going to be different again against Freo, and you've just got to bring it week after week. And Freo's just going to, I guess, they're going to look at it and go, well, we're travelling to Victoria, MCG. We've got nothing to lose really, so we're going to have a go against the top 4 team. If they win, they've got to travel again. It's going to be really hard for Freo. They've got to go all the way back home, back to Sydney. So I don't know how they're going to. There's a lot of travelling for Freo, so they're up against it. But if they somehow can get over Collingwood and get over Sydney and make a grand final, that'll be an amazing effort if they can make it work. I just don't see it happening. But I think probably Collingwood will get over them, and then it'll be a Collingwood-Sydney prelim, which will be fantastic. I'm really excited. I'd love to see those two teams go out at the SCG. Nervous as hell seeing Geelong play Melbourne at the MCG, another MCG tenant team. It might happen. It happens, but let's hope not. There's a lot of talk going on, I guess, with trades now at the moment. It's just a lot of news, there's not a lot to talk about when there's not as many games being played. I suppose you can only talk about the finals results for so long, and then they start talking about, such and such is going here, and there's someone who hasn't signed a contract yet and all that. So I find it a little bit boring, but until it actually starts happening, so we'll wait and see on some of these things happen. But I don't know. Geelong's probably getting that Jacob Hopper fella from GWS, and there's talk to Goey. They're trying to get to Goey to go to Essendon. So there's a little bit of that stuff going on, but it's neither here nor there for me. I'm not really too fussed on that. But anyway, what do you reckon? How do you reckon the rest of the finals are going to play out? I'm thinking it'll be a Geelong Melbourne prelim and a Sydney Collingwood prelim. Pretty boring stuff, really. I think that'll just be how it goes. The top 4 will end up just switching sides. We'll end up playing the second best team on the ladder for the year to get through to a grand final. Another MCG tenant team. Whinge. We're never going to play that one at the Kidney Park, but hopefully Melbourne supporters don't turn up and all the Geelong supporters rock up again. I've already booked my 2 nights accommodation in Melbourne. I've booked this ages ago, so I was very, very confident we were going to be in a home prelim at in Melbourne. So yes, I've got I just need to know what night it's on, because I'm going to plan a couple other things that weekend. It's, my partner's. It was a Mother's Day present for her. I booked it ages ago, even though we're going on the footy. Yeah, I know. So we want to plan out a nice little weekend around that and have a nice celebration. And then we just enjoy enjoy the grand final week, and then week after that we go to the Cargie, and it's a big grand final celebration because we've got the silverware and all that sort of stuff. So that's going to be fun. I've turned it back into a Geelong show. Sorry, everyone who's not a Geelong supporter watching this and maybe thought they'd see what this is all about. But anyway, if you haven't checked out our channel before, please feel free to have a look at some of the other Geelong content. If you're suffering with not much AFL news at the moment for your club and you want to pick a team to follow, why not pick Geelong? We're awesome. Anyway, that's me done. See you later, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.